Then we had water. I mean, it was a good day. It wasn't anything. And what triggered her? She wanted to go over.
Well done, Amanda. You must have been driving high speed.
I got out a little earlier than I thought I would, and I made it, just barely, but I made it.
Awesome.
It's hot down here. I mean, my husband says it's pretty hot there too, but it's 97 here.
It was 90 here.
91.
At 4 o'clock, it said 90 degrees on my temperature gauge.
Awful.
91.
Well, at least I have air conditioning.
Is everyone here tonight? Or is anyone missing? Is Julie going to be here?
I'm right here.
Is she here? Okay.
We have everybody, so I think we're good to go.
Nice. Okay. Let me just call to order the regular virtual meeting of the Rio Dell City Council. Roll call, please.
Mayor Garnes,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Carter,
Here.
Councilmember Wilson,
Here.
Councilmember Woodall,
Here.
City
All right.
Manager Knopp,
Here.
Chief of Police Connor,
Here.
Finance Director Dillingham,
Here.
Community Development Director Caldwell, Water Superintendent Jensen. Water Superintendent Jensen. Water Superintendent Jensen.
I see his name.
He must be muted. Wastewater Superintendent Taylor.
Here. I'm here.
Thanks, Randy.
Water Superintendent's here. Thank you.
Okay, and City Clerk Dunham's present. Thank you.
Thank you. Now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public presentations. This is the time for persons who wish to address the council on any matter not on this agenda and over which the council has jurisdiction. As such, a dialogue with the council or staff is not allowed under the Ralph M. Brown Act. Items requiring council action not listed on this agenda may be placed on the next regular agenda for consideration if the council directs, unless a finding is made by at least 2/3 of the council that the item came up after the agenda was posted and is of an urgency nature requiring immediate action. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Are there any hands raised or emails?
No hands. I did receive one email via one comment via email. And I could read that now.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. The City Council must act immediately regarding the coal train disaster headed straight for Rio Dell. We are under attack from big coal interests, and the City Council has done nothing. We have endangered species in the river. We have no water. Coal trains produce coal dust, an explosive contaminant known to have killed thousands upon thousands of coal miners through black lung disease. We already have a disease in the community called COVID. Now we're just expected to roll over and allow this coal into our community. It's time to lay down on these tracks and prevent any coal train from coming here. The City Council must declare the coal train a public disaster and immediately use disaster powers to remove the remaining elements of the train tracks from the bluffs. It's time for direct action. I'm not calling for violence. I'm calling upon the five of you to protect the community. Disclose right now if you were at the Rexbone meeting with these coal barons. Did you take money from them? Were you promised a free supply, a cut of the profits? Disclose immediately your interest in East Asian coal consumers. Are you working with the Midwest tribe? If these are not problems for you, why will you not act? Why will you not stop this disaster? Act now, act quickly, and act with the interests of Rio Dell. Stop the coal train disaster. Stop it now. Stop it. And that's it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. It's interesting. I'll have to talk about that later. Okay, we will move on. Are there any other comments or hands raised since the letter was being read?
No hands.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the consent calendar. Is there any council member wishing to remove any item from the consent calendar?
Mayor Guards, I would remove item number 1.
Okie dokie. Other council members? Any other 1, 2, 3, or 4? Hearing nothing, is there a motion to approve consent calendar items 2, 3, and 4?
So moved by Johnson.
I so move we do it all.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson? Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Yes.
Mayor Garnes?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Yes,
item number 1.
I just wanted a separate vote on this, Mayor Guards, because of my absence, and I will be abstaining from any vote.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a motion then to approve item number 1?
I make a
So
motion
moved.
to approve item number 1.
We have a motion and it sounded like a second. So we'll have roll call, please.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Abstain.
And Mayor Garnes?
Yes. Motion carries 4-0 with 1 abstention. I think that makes sense.
Absolutely.
We will move on now to reports and staff communications, page 18 in the packet. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. So this will be just a brief report. I will state that this agenda item for tonight, we were intending to have some additional street project material able to be presented at tonight's meeting. However, we will be pushing that to October 5th. So that'll be presentations from the city engineer as well as Whitchurch Engineering. And then we'll also be just updating the council on progress for the 2022 street projects. So that is kind of our focus right now, to make sure that we get those items to the council so we can start working on those. Aside from that, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them myself or staff. Thank you.
Thank you, city manager. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
And thank you, Mayor Guards. I noticed that there was no police department report.
Yeah, so the chief of police was off on vacation, so there is no report this session.
Okay. Hope you had a good vacation, Jeff. Much deserved.
Thank you. Is that all, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Garnes.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson?
Yes, I don't think I see him on here, but is Community Development Director, Kevin, is he here?
I don't think he was on the call earlier during roll call, and I'm not seeing him at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not seeing you there. The reason I was asking, I don't know if this is the appropriate place, but since it's kind of like general staff highlights, do we have an ordinance on horses on the sidewalks? Do we have something in that line?
I don't know the answer to that, but we can look into that for you.
Because I've noticed it, you know, I'm sure you all have too. That, people do ride horses on the sidewalks, and it may seem like a, I don't know, a way to word it. I can see Mayor Garnes look. Well, you know what's coming. We have the pooper scooper bags for the dogs. Horses can be a lot worse.
Yeah.
You know, who takes care of that? That creates a mess, and also the fact that you have it's probably not good to have horses on sidewalks where people walk. That's a pedestrian walkway. So if you could look, I guess I can ask city manager if you could check with that with Kevin and report back to us on that question. Other than that, I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any hands raised or emails regarding the staff report?
No hands raised.
No emails.
Thank you. And we will move on to the discussion on Clean California Grant. City Manager, page 20 in our packet.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. So the governor, with his latest budget, launched a Clean California Initiative, which is a little over $1 billion grants program to essentially clean up public spaces through litter abatement, local beautification projects. And the funding is split that $418 million would be spent over the next 3 years through Caltrans for litter abatement on the freeways. $287 million would be spent over the next 2 years for beautification projects, enhancements on the state right-of-way. $296 million would be available to local governments for local beautification projects. And then some other miscellaneous spending related to public education and design costs. So potentially the city has the ability to apply for these funds. So again, it's $296 million according to the information Caltrans has provided so far for Rio Dell. Because of the MHI status of the community, the city would not require a match for any project, and there's a lot of different ways of potentially developing projects for this. There is, however, a relatively tight timeline in that there will be an expectation that a full final grant submission is put in by February of 2022, which is a relatively short amount of time. So potentially eligible projects that the city staff has identified based on the existing criteria for the grants would include potentially funding for the Eel River Trail. The council may recall we've applied for 2 different grant sources through the Parks Department, state parks, and then we've also applied through the ATP program for the Eel River Trail down Edwards Drive. Another potential project would be gateway enhancements. I know that this has been a subject that periodically has come up regarding kind of gateway 2.0 of replanting and kind of reconfiguring the gateway. So this might be an opportunity to kind of further flesh out that specific proposal. What staff is recommending at this point in time is that it be referred to the Beautification, Walkability, and Pride Committee to identify and select a project, to work with staff to develop a proposal to get us into the position to make application in February, returning to the council as needed in case we need to provide some additional financial resources towards the grant application. Even if we don't get this year's particular grant, my understanding is Caltrans is trying to figure out a way to make this kind of an ongoing programmatic system where there is probably a significantly smaller amount annually appropriated, but that projects may continue to be funded well past the expenditures of this 1.1 billion Clean California project. So with that, I'm happy to try to answer any questions. On pages 21 and 22 of your packet is just the brief primer on Clean California. And then we are expecting for some more firm data in terms of the submission of the application over the next couple months. So with that, I'll go ahead and return it to the mayor.
Thank you. So I will ask, are there any questions? Councilmember Carter.
No, I mean, not really. How much does this hinge upon the word litter? I don't know, Kyle, you might not know.
Yeah, so there's different aspects that appears to the grant. So some of it involves public education for litter collection. Some of it is employment programs for litter collection. But then there is a section that does call for beautification projects. So that's the transformation of public spaces to essentially, beautify the spaces to deter littering. So there does have to be some connection to underutilized spaces prone to littering. But I do think that it's the closest that we have in terms of just a straight beautification grant application.
Yeah, no, that's great. It can be preventative litter, though. That's good. That's really what I wanted to know. Thank you. Nothing else.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson.
No, I'm for this. I don't know if this is a place to bring up. It might be in council reports, but we had that article that was. No, this isn't the place for it. That'll be somewhere else. No, I'm great. I'm good with what staff is doing.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Woodall?
No, I think we've got a great committee to handle it if we give it to the Beautification, Walkability, and Pride Committee. And I'm excited about it. Hopefully we will get something done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
I agree with Councilmember Woodall that it's a good one to pass on to the Beautification Committee.
Thank you. And we will be, when Councilmember Carter returns from the conference, we will be meeting very soon after that. There is the workshop on the grant program that I actually missed on the 1st of September, but it's on October 7th. And I'm going to ask for all of the committee members, the ad hoc committee members, to attend that meeting, to register for it, and to attend it. It's from 10 until noon on the 7th. But before that, we will be meeting well before that and starting the process. But I just definitely think we should all attend that workshop so that we have a full understanding of what we can and cannot do and how to go about it. But we'll definitely meet prior to that. So are there any hands raised or emails?
No hands raised.
No emails.
Okay. And then now, City Manager, this is just I mean, is this a vote situation, or is this just we refer it to the?
Yeah, I would just move to refer the item to the committee.
Okay. You mean to say you? I don't need to. I'm sorry. I don't need to do a vote. Or do I need to do a vote?
I would recommend a vote.
Okay, that's the answer I was looking for. Roll call, please. Or no, motion, please. A motion to refer the grant application to the beautification committee.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second by Johnson.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Garnes.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. We will move on to the update on the 2021 drought. City Manager, page 23 in your packets.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. So this item comes to you a couple months after the June 22nd declaration of the City Council that the city is in a stage 1 level drought emergency. So we did run some numbers looking at water use and production starting July 1st. Through September 30th, the final few days here projected, but should be pretty accurate. So what we have seen in terms of after requesting voluntary conservation, we have seen an overall net reduction in water use community-wide of about 15.4%.
Nice.
Now, this is also a unique year in that in this drought, we also have access to the metropolitan wells. So when you add in well production so far this year, the total draw on surface waters on the Eel River has actually been reduced by 23.5%. So that's just short of 25 acre feet of water. So that's one of the advantages of the new facilities that we have in this drought is the ability to kind of scale back some of the water use on the Eel River. I did include some charts on page 24. Unfortunately, they are inaccurate because the Scotia gauge was recalibrated on September 16th. So I would just skip everything you see on page 24. Because again, the gauge was recalibrated. But you'll see between pages 25 and 26 comparative photos. On page 25, you'll see the Eel River. So this is a northern photograph view to the north from Eagle Prairie Bridge. You can see Highway 101 in the background there. And then you'll notice on the left side of the screen, or on the left side of the photograph, is our infiltration gallery, which at that point in time had to be manually dug out in order to make sure that water flowed to the infiltration gallery. And the noticeable difference, and even though we weren't able to quite get the same photo quality, on the next page, on page 26, you can sort of make out the difference. So that's a photo taken September 15th of this year. And you will see on the left side that the river channel has moved more on top of the infiltration gallery. So we don't have the same problems, multiple problems going on that we did in 2014, where there was a sediment on top of the infiltration gallery that has been washed away over subsequent years. And so the gallery is fully covered in water for this year. And I will go ahead and see if Randy has any other things he wants to talk about in just terms of operations and how we're doing.
Thank you, City Manager, Mayor, and Council. So, yeah, with the situation this year, we're in a lot better shape than we were back in 2014. Mostly the river channel has moved over to the gallery. We've been operating the plant at a slower rate, but longer hours to pull in water and not basically pull in sediment as we're doing this and causing voids in the gallery itself. We were running the wells pretty good at the beginning of this last month, and then as we were doing depth to ground the depth of water, we noticed that the wells were depleting by 1/10 of a foot about every 2 days. So we decided to hold off on that, use that for more of a emergency, or if a situation comes up where the gallery is unable to meet the demand, we'd fire up the wells at that point and have that as reserves. We do still do depth gauges on the wells about every other day, every third day, and they are holding steady. The past rain has increased the river flow, apparently. I guess it was almost like 10 cubic feet per second, according to the new calibration for the meter. So there was a slight increase in the water in the river. And with that, we're going to continue using the infiltration gallery and hold the wells to this point and later down in the season in case it gets to the point where we don't have any water for another month or so. Other than that, things have been going pretty well. Nothing to really worry about. And I think, like I say, over this past year compared to 14, in a lot better hands and a lot better conditions as far as how the river is placed within the channels of the gallery and whatnot. So with that, if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Randy, and thank you, City Manager. We'll bring questions. Councilmember Wilson.
No, it's interesting how it shifted, and I appreciate that we seem to be in a better spot than we were in 2014. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall.
Yeah, Randy, since we got a little bit more rain and they're running more CEFSs, does that mean we still need to go to the stage 2 right now?
I believe at this point we're going to hold off on that and see within the next couple of weeks to see what the drop in the river goes to, and then we'll probably bring this back to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
If that comes up, yep.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Carnes. The only question I have is one of finances. If we scale back 15% of water sales, it means that we scale back some amount of income for the water department. And do we have a handle on just exactly, what our water funds are doing?
Would this be a question for Cheryl?
Yeah,
Cheryl, City Manager, not for you, Randy.
I'll just jump in real quick, and then Cheryl can follow me up if she has any additional information. That is something that we are looking at. The volumetric charge, though, if you may recall,
right.
Covers some of the variable expenses with water production itself. And so if you're producing less and filtering less water, you're also going to have some level of savings as well, because you're not using the same amount of power to move water to push it through the filters and whatnot. So it isn't just a straight, 15%, revenue reduction, but I'll see if Cheryl has anything else to add to that.
So I hadn't actually looked at the billing and how much we had billed out, and I can do that, but I do know just as an overall, the water fund is in good shape, so I'm sure it can handle this, and as part of the rate study, this is the type of thing we're looking at.
Thank you. That was my only question, Mayor Garn.
Thank you. Councilmember, Councilmember Carter.
No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions other than, does this this then is what I think I understood myself to hear was that the next item, Resolution 1504, is not going to be taken up tonight.
So we can open it for discussion. I can update the council on that particular item.
Okay, then we will move on then to resolution number 1504-2021, declaring a stage 2 drought related to water storage emergency, the water storage emergency.
Okay,
City
so
Manager, page 27 in the packets.
thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. So this is obviously a dynamic situation, and certainly we were saved by the bell, so to speak, or just recently over the weekend we had some additional rains. Looking at the gauge right now live, we're at 48.6 CFS, so that's cubic feet per second. The existing water shortage contingency plan for droughts calls for stage 2, which is mandatory conservation efforts at 30 or below, 30 CFS or below. It has been steadily climbing. That could be due to a number of factors, including dam releases. But they did just recently on September 16th update the gauge. So I think this is relatively accurate information that we're still, just to give you an example, right now the average flow CFS over the past 108 years would normally be around 100 CFS. So even at 48.6, we're well below where normal. We're still certainly in a severe drought situation, and particularly as we move forward, as Randy mentioned, we want to hold the wells in reserve as much as possible in case the situation continues to remain relatively dry. So getting back to the mayor's question, staff is recommending that the council take no action on this item at this time because we are not at or below 30 CFS according to the Scotia Commission. So
thank you.
Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall.
I'm good with no action.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter.
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
No questions, Mayor Garnes.
And Councilmember Wilson.
No question.
Okay, and I have no questions. I do want to state how happy I am about our metropolitan wells and how appreciative I am of what staff has done and getting the grant, getting this whole thing together. And it's just, I think there's not enough words to say how grateful we as a council and as a city, even if the community doesn't actually recognize it, how important and how grateful we are to have that metropolitan well backup system to keep us going. So are there any hands raised or emails to ask questions regarding this item?
No hands.
And no emails.
Okay. Then I think that brings us to council reports and communications. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes. I have two items to discuss this evening. The first is that at recent HCOG meeting last week, there was new information about the project at Indianola and Highway 101. As you may recall, bids were received back in July of 2021, and 3 bids, all 3 were approximately 10 to 20% over the engineer's estimate, and all 3 had bid protests. And this is certainly a red flag for Caltrans, and the nature of the bid protests stem from the desire of Caltrans to have the build or embankment at Indianola for the bridge to be a design build. And this caused grief for the bidders. And so Caltrans has rejected all bids. Caltrans will be going out and doing geotechnical work, doing some borings, and Caltrans will design the fill and rebid the project probably about February of 2022, with an award by the end of May of 22. This is a project that certainly has been on the forefront for the city of Rio Dell, and it's one that we have been instrumental in pushing forward. The second matter that I have is we've had a long-standing ad hoc committee relative to our interface with Rio Dell schools, and I think we need to bring that to a conclusion, and I'd like to set a date within the next week or so to have a committee meeting. So what fits the mayor's and Councilmember Woodall's calendar?
There's
Go ahead, Julie.
I was going to say, other than tomorrow morning, I'm open.
Okay, and I think I'm not actually on the committee because we can only have 2 people. So I think that you and Councilmember Woodall can work that out then.
10 o'clock tomorrow morning?
Except tomorrow morning. She couldn't do it.
Oh, except tomorrow morning.
I can do it. I can do it in the afternoon, but not in the morning.
I can't do it in the afternoon. How about Thursday morning, 10 o'clock?
Sounds perfect.
Okay. City manager, that fit your calendar?
You're muted, Kyle.
Oh, my apologies. I'm trying to pull up my calendar real quick. And we should be good. Yes.
Okay, 10 o'clock on the 23rd, Thursday. Okay, that's it for me, Mayor Garnes.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter?
Thank you, Mayor Garnes. I don't really have anything to report except that I'm in Sacramento at this conference. So there's some really good stuff on the docket this year. So I'll have a lot to say next meeting.
Nice.
And be energized and happy.
All right.
Thank you.
Very cool. All right. Councilmember Wilson?
Yes, just briefly, I have an RCA meeting Thursday. Just a note. The other thing is this public comment that we got about the coal train. I don't know if folks have been following that on the Lost Coast has been reporting on it. Senator McGuire just introduced a bill, I think, either today or recently within the week, on opposing it. So he's put that before legislation. I'm wondering if we should if the city should take a stand and make a comment about the coal train. But we'd have to put that on the agenda to do it.
Okay.
And so I'm suggesting that we do that so we can discuss it.
Okie dokie. Well, I'm good with it. Is everyone good with putting that on the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
That's fine.
Okay, I think that's consensus.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall.
Well, first off, tomorrow at 3 o'clock is the Nuisance Abatement Committee meeting, and it'll be on Zoom. So if anybody's interested in calling in or watching it on Zoom, call the City Hall and they will give you the phone numbers for the meeting. And the other thing is I did a ride-along with our new CSO officer. It was very interesting. Thank you, Mary. I appreciated you letting me go. And other than that, there's nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you. And all I have is I attended my first Seismic Commission meeting on the 9th, and Wow, I have a lot of reading, a lot of information. It is very interesting, but it is, you really got to be committed because there's a lot of reading and a lot of things to understand about engineering. I may have to call you, Gordon, but it was very interesting, and I'm excited about continuing on and learning more and doing everything I can to add whatever I can to the commission. So that's about all I have for my report. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved by Johnson.
We have a motion. Second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Me, Amanda, enjoy. Have a great time. There's a lot of information to get, and I hope you enjoy it. But get the information too.
I'm gonna have a lot of fun and learn a bunch.
All right, there you go. All right, you guys, take care. See you in 2 weeks. Meeting adjourned.
Bye.
Bye now.